Hi everyone. Today is a rainy day, so we're taking shelter inside of the Grow Paradise greenhouse, which is actually quite nice. The last weekend was absolutely manic. On Saturday, I was selling plants at my local market, and it was quite slow because the weather was starting to take a turn for the worse. The winds were kicking up. We actually had the tail end of a hurricane blowing through, and there was a yellow weather warning for rain. And this was a worry because on Sunday, the 1st of September, was Abbotsbury Subtropical Gardens plant fair, which is organised by Plant Heritage. And over the past few weeks, I've been growing on some plants specifically for that plant fair, so I was really hoping the weather's going to be good. Now, fortunately, it wasn't too bad. And the day started very, very early. I was up at 5:30, loading the car with all of the plants that I was taking to the market to sell. I wanted to get there nice and early. And at the start of the day, the weather looked quite good. There was a beautiful sunset on my way to the gardens. And I got there early. I got there for 7 a.m. So I got to pick a nice spot in the gardens. David, a friend of mine, was helping me set up, and he'd already shipped over some plants to the spot where I was going to be setting up that I'd taken over the day before, trying to get as organised as possible. And as we were setting up, the wind was slowly picking up and I was a little bit nervous. The gates hadn't opened yet. They didn't open till 10 a.m. And just as the gates opened and the public were coming in, those dedicated plant hunters that are always the first through the gates at plant fairs, the heavens opened. But it's okay. I met so many great people. I saw a lot of familiar faces and I met lots of new people as well. So some of you came to say hello and I really appreciate that. It's really nice putting faces to the names, the people that I chat to online. So that was great. Thank you for making the effort to come and see my plants, possibly buy some plants and just have a look around. The gardens are fantastic and there were so many other sellers there as well. Now, you might remember the summer plant fair. Yes, I go there to sell plants. But I've got a little bit of pocket money in my pocket, and if I sell a few plants, I can try and source some new plants for the nursery. So while I was in good spirits, just a little bit before the gates had opened, so I get first pick of the plants, I had a look around. And the first plant I got was from Mike Clifford at Mike's Rare Plants, and it's a plant I have never grown before. Look at the size of this absolutely beautiful leaf with that purple underside. This is, I'm going to read the labels because they're new to me. This is a Strobilanthes mastersii. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, Mike got this from Russell, who also was selling plants at Abbotsbury Plant Fair. And Russell says that he has found that it's actually reasonably hardy in his garden. Now, he's in the southwest of the UK, the same as me, so his garden probably doesn't get much below -5°C. But to have a plant that has this size leaf that will die back to ground as like a herbaceous perennial, I'm guessing, provided it's got good drainage, it will regrow again each spring. I can't wait to experiment with this. Now, I will be taking cuttings as backups. There are side shoots coming off of the plant here, so I should be able to propagate it. If it's like other plants in this family, they're not too difficult to grow, but I absolutely love it, just for the size of the leaf. I mean, look at that next to my head. Massive. Now, while I was on Mike's stand, I saw a plant that I'd been after for possibly 2 or 3 years now. It was tucked underneath one of his benches and I put in a cheeky request. I think it was put aside, but I'm persistent. And he was really good. Mike let me have it. Now this is a plant that some of you might recognise. It is extremely desirable amongst people that love tropical style plants, love the rarities. Now that grass looks a lot like Setaria palmifolia, that palm grass that I featured on the Grow Paradise channel a lot. And that's because that's exactly what it is. This is Setaria palmifolia, so like a palm-leafed grass. But this is a very select form that has these kind of pinky red margins and this dark side. And it also grows almost upright and it produces side shoots from the stem. Now, I'm going to try and read this name, but you will see how difficult it is because I'll put it up on screen for you as well. Now, this is Setaria palmifolia, Retpela, Pitpit, Wantaim, Waitpela, Mac. Not very catchy, but a beautiful plant, and I'm so glad that I've managed to source one. Now, this is not hardy. The standard Setaria palmifolia has proven hardy in some people's gardens, but this one is tender. It's going to need protection. So I don't really heat my greenhouse much above 10°C in winter now, and I don't want to risk it with this because they're so hard to come by. So I'm going to take this one inside and protect it indoors, keep it nice and warm under a grow light through winter to see if I can bulk it up and hopefully share some of these with all of you. It's brand new to me, so I don't really know how to grow this one. And then I was very, very kindly gifted this plant. This is a hardy or half hardy Tibouchina. Now I've featured Tibouchina erviliana on the Grow Paradise channel before, which is that really nice, its common name is glory bush, and it's got those bright purple flowers. And the flowers are very, very similar, except these are tiny white ones, but the shape of the stamens, the petals and everything, which is really how they used to classify plants, was from the flower structures. It's very similar, and it's got these hairy, small hairy leaves, just like every other Tibouchina. Now this one is Tibouchina paratropica. And this was gifted to me by David Pierce, the curator at Abbotsbury, and I'm really grateful for this, David. Unfortunately, when he brought it over to me, that wind that I was talking about just blasted all of the petals off the flowers, so I was unsure what the flowers looked like on the day, but the day afterwards, as is common with most Tibouchina, it produced new buds because there's a constant succession of buds emerging, and I could see how beautiful these dainty little white flowers are. Now this will take temperatures down to about -5, and it will regrow again in spring. Again, I think with most of these half-hardy plants, I always say the trick is just to make sure they've got good drainage so the root zone doesn't get damaged. If the roots survive, they'll often regrow. But again, I will be protecting this plant because it's the first time I've grown this one, and I really, really like it. Not usually a fan of kind of delicate white flowers, but this is beautiful. And he says, as he's knocking the petals off the plant, hopefully I can bulk that one up and share it with all of you as well. Now, as the day went on, as I say, I met so many of you, but the wind really picked up and plants were blowing off of the bench and I was having to pick them back up, and it's always heartbreaking. Luckily, there wasn't any damage, but plants were being tipped out of their pots and I had to keep putting the stand back together. And then by about mid-afternoon, the heavens fully opened. It was torrential rain, and as you can expect, most visitors emptied out, but I love it. I had the protection of my parasol, so I was sat underneath that in the afternoon, just watching the rain drip off the leaves, blow around in the canopy. It's why I loved the atmosphere of the gardens when I was working there. Just being in a forest garden when it's wet, for me, is really, really soothing. And it finished by about 3 or 4 o'clock, I think it was. And yeah, I was happy to get home and put on some dry clothes. But all in all, it was a really good day. And I just wanted to share with you these plants that I've added to my collection. It's so hard when you're going to these fairs to sell plants, to not bring plants home with you. And I didn't take a van with me. Usually I'll rent a van, but I just took a little hatchback. So space was very limited and I had to be careful. I think if I had a van, I may have spent a bit more money. Now let me know if any of you have grown these plants before, or if these are plants that you're looking for, because that will really kind of motivate me to bulk them up and try and propagate them for the Grow Paradise Nursery so that I can share it with all of you. Don't forget to hit subscribe. It's the easiest way to support the channel, and I think something like 80% of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel, and it's just a fast and easy way to show your support and help our community grow. And of course, we've got our growers forum at growparadise.social, where you can share pictures of your gardens, ask questions and get support over there, and it's completely free to sign up. Oh, thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next one.